What if the Goth subculture didn't start in the 1980s with all the Goth bands, but if it really started in 1704? Maybe it started centuries before eyeliner and the Cure. The true occult lineage of the Goth begins with a cursed castle. Then there was Byron, then there was Chanel, and a riot and a ballet. Later came Carmilla, Shelly, the Brontës, and the evolution of vampires, witches, and dark fashion. But why does any of this matter? Isn't Goth culture just a fashion aesthetic? Well, there is a forgotten and forbidden history that those in the know in the Goth culture embrace. The forbidden history of Gothic culture from Walpole to Chanel No. 5. Did you know that the secret origin of vampires and witches and the Goth aesthetic all comes from them? So stick with us to the end of this video and you might discover a thing or two. A complete and uncensored timeline of the forgotten origins of Goth culture is there, and you can actually download a free copy of that if you follow the prompts below. Remember, back issues of Magick magazine and my many other publications can be purchased from any good bookstore. However, if you'd like to create a community, if you'd like us to keep making free and accessible content for you and people you'd like to share it with online, then like, share, subscribe, join our Patreon. You can also jump on our Discord and grow a community of like-minded people where you will feel safe to be yourself and share the magic. And there we can discuss questions like, which Gothic era speaks to you? The 1700s, the 1800s, or the 1900s? Who is the most influential Gothic figure of all time? And of course, you can always ask me if I should make a part 2 of Gothic magic, or maybe even a Victorian mourning culture video. But just for now, join us as we explore this strange dark birth of the Gothic culture that took 300 years, magic and rebellion, with the occult acting as the midwife to the modern Goth scene. Goth didn't start with black eyeliner or post-punk nightclubs. Its roots run far deeper into haunted castles, romantic tragedies, occult rituals, erotic vampire poems, forbidden love letters, convents, car crashes, riots in Paris, and the very first rebel artists who challenged the world with beauty, darkness, and desire. Tonight, we journey through a Gothic magical family tree spanning nearly 250 years to uncover how these masterpieces and misfits shaped the Goth subculture we know today. Our story begins in 1704 with Anne Radcliffe and the Mysteries of Udolpho, the first English Gothic novel. Dark corridors, ruined castles, persecuted heroines, secret societies. Radcliffe established the blueprint of Gothic mood. Just a few decades later, 1764, Horace Walpole writes The Castle of Otranto, the first true Gothic romance. Haunted architecture, ancient curses, a sense that the supernatural is always lurking. These books became the occult textbooks of their day, inspiring secret reading societies and influencing magical circles from the Golden Dawn to early Rosicrucians. 1780s, Sturm und Drang. Then Germany gave us Sturm und Drang, a rebellious youth movement obsessed with emotion, nature, and personal torment. Think of it as the first emo wave, with lightning storms and existential dread instead of guitars. 1748, the first vampire poem, before Dracula, before Carmilla. There was Heinrich Ossenfelder's Der Vampir, 1748, the first poem linking vampirism with erotic desire. This is where sensual, seductive vampirism truly begins, an idea that Goths still worship today. The Romantic era summons the powerful triad Goethe's Faust, 1797, the archetype of the man who bargains with demons, Sir Thomas Lawrence's Fallen Angel, 1797, beauty plus agony, Gothic perfection, Washington Irving's Sleepy Hollow, 1820, introducing the American Gothic landscape. These works shape our idea of tragic beauty, demonic seduction, the anti-hero, and the supernatural as psychological torment. 1810s, Jane Austen's Gothic parody. 1818, Northanger Abbey. Austen teases Gothic tropes, but in doing so, she cements them. She proves the Gothic has become a cultural force, one recognisable enough to parody. 1820s, Elizabeth Gaskell and occult women. Gaskell's ghostly heroines and Charles Dickens's support of her, witches, wanderers, and imprisoned women stories help shape the Gothic feminine, haunted domestic spaces, the trope of women escaping oppressive households. (1847) is one of the most Gothic years in literary history. Emily Brontë, Wuthering Heights, Stormy Passion, Ghosts, Feral Love, Charlotte Brontë, Jane Eyre, Madwoman in the Attic, Dark Byronic Hero, Anne Brontë and Branwell Brontë, Addiction, Doomed Romance, and Moral Darkness. These narratives create many modern Goth archetypes: the brooding lover, the haunted manor, the dark, feminine, rebel, love that feels like witchcraft, Gentleman Jack, Anne Lister, 1817-1840s. Dressed in black, writing coded diaries and living defiantly, Anne Lister becomes an early queer Gothic icon. Her wardrobe prefigures the modern Gothic dandy and queer Goth fashion. Pre-Raphaelites, 1850s, 1860s. Enter Dante Gabriel Rossetti, Lizzie Siddal, Emma Hill, Effie Gray, with opium dreams, tragic muses, ghostly complexions, medieval mysticism, occult symbolism. The pre-Raphaelite sisterhood and brotherhood create the aesthetic backbone of modern Goth. Long, flowing hair, pale skin, ritualistic poses, myth, magic, and death intertwined. 1872, Carmilla Le Fanu. Before Dracula, there was Carmilla, the lesbian vampire, erotic, tender, predatory. This book births queer Gothic literature, sapphic vampire mythology, the sensual vampire archetype adored in Goth culture today. Fin de siècle, Darkness and Occult Whispers, 1870-1913. Rasputin, 1906. The Mad Monk of Russia becomes a symbol of occult healing, hypnotic sexuality, political mysticism, spiritual rebellion. He becomes a proto-Goth celebrity, charismatic, feared and mythologized. Igor Stravinsky, 1913, The Riot of Spring. In 1913, Paris, the premiere of The Riot of Spring, caused an actual riot. Why? Because Stravinsky's music felt pagan, primal, ritualistic, violent. This was the sound of ancient sacrifice, an early form of the dark ritual aesthetic we associate with occult Goth. Coco Chanel's Gothic irony, a girl sent to a convent, orphaned in youth, later losing her great love in a car crash. Chanel's life mirrors Gothic tragedy. Her invention of the little black dress, 1920, gives Goth a uniform, a silhouette, a symbol of rebellion disguised as simplicity. Chanel also released perfumes on the 5th, a sacred occult number, collaborated with Stravinsky,
created austere elegance blended with hidden darkness. She brings Gothic into high fashion, where it remains today. When you follow the lineage, a pattern emerges, a chain of ghosts, rebels, occultists, femmes fatales, tragic lovers, fallen angels, and beautifully doomed souls. From Udolpho's haunted corridors, to Sturm und Drang storms, to Brontë moors, to pre-Raphaelite Magick, to Chanel's black dress, to Stravinsky's ritual dance, to Rasputin's mysticism, we arrive at modern Goth, shaped by centuries of supernatural desire, erotic horror, tragedy, rebellion, ritual aesthetics, spiritual subversion, and the worship of beauty in darkness. This is the Gothic magical family tree, a lineage as rich and stormy as the culture it created. If you enjoyed this journey into the shadows, make sure to like, subscribe, and leave a comment about which Gothic ancestor you claim as your own. And remember, the darkness we inherit is the darkness we illuminate. Until next time, keep it beautifully bleak.